This is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. Did you guys see Putin and Trump meet in front of the planes in Alaska? It was pretty amazing, I must say. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe if you're new to my channel. So when Putin was walking towards Trump on the red carpet, he looked giddy, didn't he? Putin looked giddy to meet President Trump. They hadn't seen each other in a while. And he to me, Putin looks like he likes Trump. He respects Trump. He seemed very excited and giddy to see Trump. Probably President Trump getting up off the ground when the Never-Trumper shot him in Butler gained him some respect from Putin. So that was pretty amazing and super cool. And whether or not they come out with something, who knows? But as Trump always says, this war never would have begun if he were president, and that is true. This is Biden's war. So here we have Trump picking up the mess that Biden left him here with this war. And, Trump said today on Air Force One, he says, this will be the first meeting, and then they're going to do a second one with Zelensky. And Trump has to be at the one with Zelensky because, well, Putin could kidnap Zelensky, right? If Trump's not there, he could just kidnap him. Or Zelensky could just cause all kinds of problems, so there was no agreement. You can't. Can you trust Zelensky to have a meeting with Trump? But I thought when Putin was walking towards Trump, he got really giddy. He was like doing a two-step. Welcome, everyone. Yeah. So little hop, skipping, and jump, the kind of thing. Like, ooh, gave him a thumbs up, and it looked like he pointed at Trump's ear a little bit too. Like, oh, that's where they shot you. And obviously, Putin speaks English because President Trump doesn't speak Russian, and they were talking. So this is pretty awesome. It's very exciting. And this is just like back in the 80s with Reagan and Gorbachev. We really haven't had a summit since then. And that the planes came in at the same time and landed nose to nose and all of that, that was pretty good and significant. And, of course, the reason, a caller called in the other day, the beginning of this week or the end of, I guess it was the beginning of this week. It had to be because we just got the announcement about the summit. But one of the callers called in and said that it's in Alaska because you can, Alaska is just, a couple miles from Russian territory. So Putin can go right from Russian territory, Russian airspace, to the United States without flying over any other countries. And these other countries, you can't trust them to have Putin flying over them because they, who knows what they would do. But no, this is all a very positive thing. Now, I know a lot of the warmongers, all the peaceniks, war criminal, all the peaceniks want to keep the war going, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I mean, why would you want to keep this war going? And everyone Putin's position is that Ukraine's Russia. And I get that. I mean, basically, and I know a lot of liberals will, all liberals will deny this, but, liberals are defending crime in D.C. How dare you send in the feds to stop these murderers and rapists? How dare you, Murderers have rights. Is that what, So I don't expect them to be on the right side of this. But Putin views this is a civil war, right? Because Ukraine was part of Russia for so long, part of the Soviet Union. And it's basically a civil war. I mean, what would we do if Georgia all of a sudden decided it was going to be its own country? All right, would we want part of Georgia back, or would we want all of Georgia back? And I know, well, people say, oh, well, since 91 or whatever year it was. Well, that's what Putin's position is. Right? I'm not saying what should be, but each side's going to have to give a little. right? Zelensky's not going to be able to get all his land back. That's just not going to happen in the war. And Putin's not going to get everything he wants. You just can't. Each side has to give a little. And if you have this standard, well, unless we get 100%, the war will never end. And this isn't like, in the Second World War, we were in a state of total war against Germany and Japan. So, and what total war means is, you were bombing them into oblivion. That's not going on with Russia. Okay, Russia's a big country. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. And a nuclear power. So that's just not realistic. So each side's going to have to give a little bit. You can't go in and say, it's all of or nothing. You just can't do that unless you want the war to continue. And when Ukraine is allowing 60-year-olds to enlist and they're drafting people with Down syndrome, Ukraine's not doing very well. You're losing. I mean, when you're taking old men and those with Down syndrome and to the front lines, that's a country that's on the verge of losing the war. Although Pavlo from Ukraine, I still see him on YouTube at the farm with his girlfriend. I don't know why he's not in the army, but I don't know. But this is a good thing. This is a good thing, and there's nothing Trump can do that's going to have the left and the Never Trumpers saying it's anything but the wrong thing to do. So, and Trump's aware of that. Trump does not care what the liberals think. He doesn't care what the media thinks. He doesn't care what any of these people think. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. President Trump, he told Brett Baer on Air Force One today that he's ended 6 wars in 6 months. Is that amazing? He's ended 6 wars in 6 months. And this will be the 7th. How can this guy not get the Nobel Peace Prize? Right? And some of these wars are just like blood feuds that have been going on forever and ever and ever. What's delusional about? I mean, this is the reality. I mean, this is what's happening. Well, we know what Putin wants all of Ukraine. He's not going to get it. He's not going to get it. I would have thought Putin would have had a nicer plane, though. That Russian plane wasn't all that spectacular. I'm really looking forward to the press conference. I was going to do a podcast, but I'm going to wait because they're going to have a press conference in about 3 hours or so. Now, I am in Florida. We do not have basements in Florida. I'm in my living room in my house that I own. It looked like an old. I don't know too much about planes. Well, Air Force One is not new. That's why we got the new one being built and the one from Qatar. Could you imagine if Trump would have flown in with the new Air Force One from Qatar? That would have been amazing. Yep, but Florida, the best state in the United States. Oh, California. That's too bad. That's too bad. Do you guys agree with me that Putin looked giddy when he saw President Trump? I thought he looked very excited. Don't you agree with that? He was like skipping down the red carpet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. Why do you think Putin was so excited? Maybe he views Trump as his equal. These other ones are weaklings. Maybe he has respect for that. I'm not exactly sure. Why do you think he was so excited to see Trump? I mean, Putin was excited to see Trump as you or I would be to see Trump and shake hands with him, wouldn't, right? Exactly. In fact, he looked more giddy than we would because you and I would probably be trying to hide our excitement. out of fear of being embarrassed, right? And Putin likes Trump. Mm-hmm. Putin likes Trump, yep. Ignorance, I agree with you. The left are ignorant. When you have the liberals defending criminals doing crime in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, yes, I do have a passport, absolutely. They're ignorant and insane. Mm-hmm. Well, let's hope that they come out with something. You know, President Trump told Bret Baier that if Putin is not serious when they meet, and he'll know in the first few minutes, he'll leave, he'll walk out. He'll go right back out to the runway, get on Air Force One, and leave. And he hasn't come out yet, so he must feel that Putin is serious, at least so far, in the few minutes they've been meeting. And if you look at the side-by-side picture of them shaking hands on the tarmac, Putin looks very happy. He looks very happy. That's right, MAGA for life, man. MAGA forever, MAGA for life. That's right. Yeah. I don't know. You know, Putin probably wants the war to be over. It's costing a lot of money. It's hurting their economy. They're losing a lot of people. Right? So he wants the war to end. I mean, he would like it to end with owning all of Ukraine. If Kamala would have been elected, he would have taken Ukraine. Kamala wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. He would have taken it. That's it. He would have. But Trump has been holding him back. The Democrat Party, I never would have thought that we would see one of the two major parties fade away, but we're definitely seeing the end of the Democrat Party. We're seeing the end of it. I mean, it's just, no, Trump is not a criminal. Trump is not a criminal. He supports law and order. Yeah. No, the Democrats are wrong on every single issue. There's not a single issue that they have the right position on. Mm-mm. The border, the deportations, the crime. All right, they're opposed to the big, beautiful bill, which is tax cuts to everybody. Oh, a lot of rhinos, that's right. That's right, Max. MAGA, baby. MAGA forever. Our great MAGA kings meeting with Putin. You know, a lot of times someone like Putin, they want to end the war. They'd like to end the war, but they want to win it and save face. Like the United States during Vietnam, you know, there was that phrase, peace with honor, right? Peace with honor. It didn't turn out that way. It was peace with dishonor, the way they pulled out of Vietnam. But that's what Putin wants. He has to save face. He wants to look like he won something and got something and is the man. I mean, you got to give Putin credit. He's very smart. He's been running Russia since Clinton was president. So, what's that tell you? You know, you don't stay in a position like that all those years if you're stupid. Mm-hmm. What laws is Trump breaking? I don't know of any laws Trump's broken. He's a law and order guy. You cannot count those phony convictions in those corrupt judges' courtrooms with corrupt juries and lying witnesses and lying judges. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to have the press conference scheduled for around 7. So, you know. And Trump said that the deals on land, that will be up to Zelensky, up to Ukraine to decide. But a lot of these generals that are pundits, they're all from military, that you see on TV, a lot of them are from military industrial complex donors. And the last thing they want is for a war to end, right? Because they make money from the war machine. But this one's going to end. And I thought it was cool that they brought out those very advanced fighters that we have out there for Putin to see. Yep, they went forever wars. Yeah. When Trump ends this one, they'll try to start another one. That's what they do. I mean, we got out of Afghanistan, and then this one started up right after. Give me a break. But no, these wars got to end. Yeah. And this one in particular, because it's in Europe, this could spread so quickly. How does Putin own Trump? Oh my goodness! You got to get some updated talking points. I guess with USAID out of business, they haven't sent out new talking points for a while, so they're still running off the old talking points. You haven't got any new ones that Wake up. That's right, Jeff. The liberals need to wake up, and they're dummies. What is there to disagree with Trump on? I can't think of anything to disagree with Trump on. I mean, you look at what he's doing in this second term, and it has just been spectacular. I got to switch hands here. Sorry, guys. I'm holding my iPhone in my hand. So my hand was starting to cramp. You look at what he's done in the second term. What is a policy of President Trump's from his second term that you don't support? I even saw today, I posted this article on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. I got a call from a guy this morning about why is coffee going high? Coffee prices have dropped. I got an article about it. I posted on X. What is a policy of Trump's in his second term that you don't support? Can you think of anyone? Any of them? He didn't defund special education. I talk a real policy. He doesn't have a policy to defund special education. Not an imagined policy, a real policy. Name a policy of his that he has put in place in his second term that's bad. Not an imaginary one that he's actually done and put through. I don't see any. Didn't get rid of veteran support. Oh, you're opposed to deporting the illegal criminals, the rapists and murderers, the Trinde, the MS-13ers? Okay. I asked for a policy that's not a good one. How are the deportations not good? He didn't cancel Medicare or Medicaid from anyone that legally is able to get it. They canceled Medicaid for illegals. Alligator Alcatraz has been open for weeks now. I haven't heard any negative stories about anyone being injured or dying there because of mistreatment or anything. Asking for a policy that he's put in place that's bad in his second term. I'm hearing a lot of fantasy policies, but not one he's actually done. The ballroom he's paying for with his own money, not taxpayer money. No, that one doesn't count. The tariffs, the countries around the world have lowered their tariffs on us. The Rose Garden's not a policy. I didn't ask about landscaping, a policy. You're sick and hungry? Well, go get something to eat. Go have a sandwich. Yeah, they can't think of anything. They have an imaginative cut. What? Iran's nuclear program? You think it's a bad policy to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon? What are you, out of your mind? Where are you watching me from? Tehran? That's crazy. He didn't privatize any public health care. A lot of people out there have active imaginations. They're just making stuff up. So basically, what we got from this is the liberals, the trolls in the chat, cannot think of a single actual policy of President Trump's from his second term that they could disagree with or say that's bad. A lot of imagination going on. They haven't stopped cancer research. Hurricane Center hasn't closed. Nope. Oh, no, there's been job creation. And for the last few months, every new job created has been for an American, none for illegals, for the first time in a long time. No, he did not cancel cancer research. They're still researching cancer. Cancer, not only does it get tons of money, there is so much money raised to research cancer. You know, cancer gets more than probably all the other diseases combined. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe. No, only illegal jobs. The illegals have lost their jobs. That is true. Yes. The illegals have lost jobs that they shouldn't have had in the first place. That is correct. I'll give you that. 1.6 million illegals have been deported. That doesn't include those who have self-deported. No, Medicaid has not been cut for people. The only people that lost Medicaid were illegals that are not legally supposed to be getting it. Nope. It's amazing to me how the left that hate Trump have a difficult time trying to think of something he's actually done that they don't like. Maybe you guys are MAGA and you don't know it. What's Nazi-like about Trump? Come on. Can you think of anything? What one thing that's Nazi-like about Trump? Keep in mind, his daughter is Jewish. His grandkids are Jews. What kind of Nazi has Jews in his immediate family or in his family at all? What a dumb thing to say. Fascist? What has Trump done that's fascist-like? By the way, I like this shirt. A listener sent me this shirt. Isn't that a great image of the president? What has President Trump done that's Nazi-like? Can you think of anything? Nope. Nope. It was Alligator Alcatraz. We're not in a police state. How are we in a police state? Because we have police? Oh, boy. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'll be back later, guys. My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care.